We're now going to talk about the atomic structure and what atoms are made of. But before we go into that, it is important to get all of us to be on the same page in terms of what atoms are. Atoms is matter, because like all matter, it has mass and occupies space, which means it has volume. So all matter are made of atoms, all right? They are made of tiny particles called atoms. And you may have seen the symbol or diagram like this or this on TV shows or in books, that these represent atoms. Now, atoms were once thought to be indivisible. This is what atoms mean. Atoms comes from the Greek word atomus, which means indivisible. So atoms were once thought to be indivisible, but now we know they are made of even smaller particles called subatomic particles. All right? Atoms, when we talk about atoms, we will usually like to represent them as symbols, like all languages have symbols. English has these Arabic symbols, alphabets A to Z, okay? So atoms also are represented by symbols. For example, H is the symbol for hydrogen. So when we talk about hydrogen, we can represent this hydrogen as a symbol H. Gold can be represented by the symbol A, uppercase A, and lowercase u, AU. All right? Now these symbols, they come from somewhere. They usually come from English or Latin words. In English words, for example, the symbol N, uppercase N and lowercase e is the symbol for neon, a neon gas. That's from an English word. K is the symbol for potassium. Now, the Greek word for potassium is kalium. So this is where the letter K, uppercase K, came from the Latin word kalium. Now, symbols can also come from names of people or places. That's because people that discovered these elements decided to name it in honor of a place, like the university that they work at, the country that they're from, or after people. For example, the symbol uppercase A and lowercase m is the symbol for americium, an element called americium. The symbol uppercase E and lowercase s, ES, is the symbol for another element called Einsteinium, named after Einstein. So, what we have noticed is that these symbols are represented by either one or two letters. Now, if it has one letter, that letter must always be in uppercase. Always. And if the symbol is represented by two letters, the first letter must be in uppercase, while the second letter must be in lowercase. All right? For example, hydrogen is represented by one letter, the symbol H, and that H must be in uppercase. And that H must be in uppercase. Helium is represented by two letters, H and E. The H must be in uppercase, and the E must be in lowercase. The reason why this uppercase and lowercase is very important to us is because we do not want to get compounds, matter or substances to be confused from one we don't want to mess up what we are trying to represent. All right? The reason why we represent this rule is very important is because we don't want to mess up what we're trying to represent. For example, if I wrote a symbol uppercase C and uppercase O, this symbol is a representation of a compound, a poisonous gas called carbon monoxide. All right? So you have to write the C and the O equally as large. The symbol C, uppercase C and lowercase o, is the symbol for a transition element called cobalt. Now, cobalt is a metal. It's not a gas. So, if you write with a capital O, your readers will know that you mean carbon monoxide. If you represent it with a small o, then your readers will know you mean cobalt. Now, if your O is between the uppercase and the lowercase, that will just confuse the heck out of everyone. So remember, it's important for you to represent these symbols as either a proper uppercase and a proper lowercase. You cannot represent your symbols as all uppercase or all lowercase. You can't have the E here in uppercase, or even though you have an uppercase E in very small print, you have to write it like this. That's just the standard that has been made up. And if you want to invent a new standard, then you're free to do so. But if you want others to understand you, then you should follow a standard that everyone else follows.